right, you guys, it's time to meet me at the club. All right, not that kind of club. And I promise it won't be this cheesy throughout the entire episode. We're talking about Clubhouse, the app. I'm here with Melissa Litchfield today talking about Clubhouse, how to use it, why it just might be the next best thing you can do for your business. And while you might be groaning over there, I hear you, not another social platform. This episode is going to share with you why you might actually love this platform way more than Instagram and Facebook. Yes, I said it. We also dive into how to make sure you aren't wasting your time and you are capturing golden leads every time you show up. So are you ready to meet me in the club? Are you ready to have a party? All right, let's dive in. You're listening to the Badass is the New Black podcast. I'm Chrissy Chin, your host, here to teach you how to build an online business that you love and in a way that allows you to work a little bit less so you can enjoy a whole lot more. My hope is that you've showed up to today's episode ready to learn something new and will be inspired to take imperfect action in your business right away. I won't make you wait any longer. Let's dive in. Let's welcome Melissa. She is a 33-year-old Southern California native, currently living in Savannah, Georgia, not too far from me. For the past 7 years, she's been helping online entrepreneurs market themselves online with paid traffic and strategic funnels. She owns Litchfield Media Co., and a digital advertising company that helps small businesses and entrepreneurs skyrocket their impact and revenue with paid traffic. She lives with her husband, who serves in the U.S. Coast Guard as a helicopter pilot, and her 4-year-old daughter, Madeline. What's up, girl?
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited to chat all the things today about Clubhouse and then ads as well. Ads and funnels, kind of like intermix into everything.
I love it. Well, yeah, I think we'll probably get your strategy on how to leverage Clubhouse kind of with all the other things that you know. I love that we met virtually, I guess. Did we really meet at IE Live? Maybe we did.
I think probably I just scrolled and, looked at all the hashtags, post the event. And I was like, oh, following you. You were at IE Live.
Right. Like we were at the same event, but didn't necessarily meet each other. And then after the fact, connected on social media and have kind of been following each other. And I wanted to bring you on the podcast. And we were thinking originally talking about, heavy on advertising or paid traffic, and then decided to flip it and talk about Clubhouse because it's like such a hot thing. And you are becoming kind of the guru in Clubhouse for CEOs. So I'm excited to dive into this topic because it's such a new app for people that are using it. So I get to pick your brain about this app because I, to be honest, really don't know very much. I'm kind of what I would call a slow adapter to things, believe it or not. It's like, it's really popular. And then I'm like, I don't know, I'm going to see how it goes. And then later down the road, a year later, I'm like, okay, I'm finally like, I can get into it, but I need to become more of an early adopter to things. So you're going to help me do that with Clubhouse.
Yeah, no, and I totally get it. Like for me, like TikTok, I really didn't do anything until maybe last year. And like, I have never gotten viral. So like that, I feel like every app has its like perks and like, different, like everyone's attracted to different things. And like, when I got on Clubhouse, I was like, oh my God, I'm obsessed. Like I can totally see myself here. Like could show up. I just share what I know. I don't have to put on makeup. I don't have to be like camera ready. This is my jam, right?
Maybe that's the big appeal for people, that they don't have to show their face on it, right? Because now everything is so like, oh, Insta-worthy, and does it look good? And how am I presenting myself? And I need a filter. And it's like, if you just get to share your voice, which is why people also love podcasting. Of course, I force my guests to come on here so I can repurpose video and show camera, but that's why people love podcasting, because it's just your voice.
Yeah, exactly. And it's very interactive, instead of like talking to the audience where they're not really like, in live real time, like asking their questions. That's where I think the huge benefit is with Clubhouse. You can actually converse with your community and interact and, kind of like create that culture. And we'll kind of dive into that when we get into like the whole club scene. So
Love it. Love it. So kind of taking it back before we dive into everything, how did you get to what you're doing right now? Like, have you always like, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur from, when you were a little girl, or has it just
Yeah,
evolved?
no, it really didn't. I had no idea I wanted to own my own business. I thought I was just going to like work at a 9 to 5 my whole life. I actually have a master's in public health. So started in like a nonprofit, organization back in New Orleans. It was like one of the cities that we moved to with my husband. It was like right after I graduated, got a big girl job, out of college. And I was like, all right, this is like my career. This is what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life. But I just felt like I was not fulfilled, right? It was like, I just came to like this cubicle, this office. Even though it was a great location, it was like right across the street from the Superdome where like the Saints play downtown in New Orleans. I was like, this is like draining. This is like, I just show up, I go to all these meetings, conferences for like no reason. Like, this could have been like via email type of thing. And it was very based around like health policy. So it's like, I feel like I'm not really making a difference, So I kind of like dabbled into like that MLM thing, and I know you can relate. So I did Beachbody for a little bit, and I feel like that was like my first like taste of like marketing and really marketing myself, right, as like a brand. But like I never really saw that like jump off like what I thought I was gonna be 6-figure like business owner. It never happened, which is totally cool. Ended up getting pregnant in 2016, having my daughter in 2017. And I was like, all right, I need to go back and into the workforce and like find a job. But I needed something like remote, digital, like my husband moves from city to city. That's just kind of what fit the bill at the moment. And I was also kind of dabbling at the moment before I got my job at the marketing agency, was consulting with like smaller businesses, like a local baby product called Num Num. There's like these little spoons that like my daughter loved. I connected with the owner, and they were like, hey, like, do you want to like just work part-time for us? So I was like consulting pretty much for like these smaller businesses on the side until I got hired at a marketing agency where we were working with large, like big top names in the industry, like top thought leaders, Amy P was like one of the clients at the time. So, I mean, I got to see like behind the scenes of a lot of big, large accounts, and they were spending thousands of dollars every month and, having these like $1 million launches. So, and then, I pretty much said, I like this entrepreneur thing. I don't like working for somebody else. I should just start my own business. So that's what happened in 2019. And here I am, kind of exploded after or during COVID, pretty much, which is ironic. But everyone's like, let's go digital, let's run ads, So
yeah. 100%. When you were consulting for the little spoon Num Num, what were you consulting on?
Social media. And I was running a few of their ads, like in the very beginning. Yeah.
Okay. So that was something that you kind of decided you wanted to learn about and then teach, because that was before you went to an agency, right? So was that self-taught then that you were doing that?
So I'll back it up a little bit. So during the whole Beachbody thing, I did take like a Facebook ads course in 2014. Back then, so entirely different, right, than what it is now. So yes, I came from like an online course, but back then it was like so brand new. I think that's when like Kajabi was just getting like very popular. Shalane Johnson was talking about it. And I was on all the webinars, right? Like just trying to learn all the things, all the freebies. But yeah, that was like my first online course was about Facebook ads. So
my very first purchase online course was also a Facebook ads course. And I will tell you, it was, and totally proud of this. My very first course, and I like didn't get it. I just can't wrap my head around this. And I don't know. I don't think like a lot of the features he talked about, like it was, you didn't have to use those. And so like, I was like, I just don't get it. So I never really got into ads for myself. I would kind of always try and pawn it off on someone else, like my sister in the company in one of our other businesses, Grow Workspace. And I was like, all right, you take care of the ads part, like you figure that out. And then eventually like, no, we need to hire an ads manager because this is not our zone of genius. And while we kind of understand we're fumbling through, and we really need a professional who like they are spending the time to know all the ins and outs. You mentioned things back then in 2014 are completely different with ads now. So I think that's where the key in, when you start working on your business instead of in your business, it's having the insight to know, okay, I know enough to be able to gauge whether or not the person I hire is going to do a good job or a bad job. But at the end of the day, I can't be the like the guru on all of the things. And you have to hire out some of the things to people that are staying up with the changes, what's working, what's not. So yeah, that was one of the smartest things that we ever did. So I know what you do with your digital agency is so valued in this community when someone's ready to dive into that.
100%. Yeah. And just going back to like 2014, like that was when you could get away with like running a page like ad. And there was no optimization for like conversions back then, right? Like I think it was literally so simple. And now there's just so much competition. So like you really have to have a strategy. And if you're just thinking like, oh, I'll just boost a couple posts or I'll run traffic ads, like you're not going to see results. And those, we can talk about that later, but sorry, off tangent.
That, or we're just going to have to bring you back on the podcast to talk all things ads.
Right, yeah.
Because we were going to talk about Clubhouse. Okay. Before we get into Clubhouse, and I'm sure we'll kind of dabble in this, we're talking more and more on the podcast and just as I'm sharing with people more about systems, process, automation, this whole idea of being able to work less, or really it's more efficient, so that you can enjoy more and earn more. So you run an agency. So what is like maybe one thing that has kind of been a game changer for you to something, either a system, a process, a tool, or something that you've implemented in your business to kind of just really help?
Okay. Outside of Clubhouse?
Yeah. Outside of Clubhouse. And then we're going to dive into Clubhouse and you can tell us all the things on how it's helped you.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, obviously just having like a simple funnel with like a lead magnet and a nurture sequence, right? So basically you're continuing to email them after they opted in. I think a lot of people forget like, oh, I've sent the thing. Now they're good. Right. But we need to keep emailing them consistently, even throughout the welcome nurture sequence, but like, throughout like your normal email newsletters throughout the month. It's important to like keep a pulse and like just be, what's that new word everyone's using? Omnipresent, right? So like you're on social media, you're in their email inbox, maybe you're showing them an ad, maybe you're also on Clubhouse, like just being everywhere that you can possibly can, but also leveraging and utilizing that automation that you set up ahead of time. So that way, when someone opts in, they get the thing that they wanted delivered into their email inbox. And then continuously after that, they're getting several emails from you and you're driving them to take action at the end of the email nurture sequence. So that is the goal there. But I will say outside of that, just having like a low ticket offer funnel has like changed the game. And I feel like that is just bringing passive income, although it's not like total profit, right? Because there's ad spend involved, but having just like, a very proven offer, a proven funnel that people actually want to buy, and that just runs, right? And obviously I know how to run ads, so like I do run my own ads, but I think that's been a game changer so far. It's just getting more people like on my business, even if they don't buy. I've had like people reach out to me in the DMs, like asking crazy things. Obviously I don't say yes, but they're like, oh, I saw you on Clubhouse, but really they saw my ad. Yeah. And they're like, do you want to co-moderate this room? And I'm like, I'll send you my media kit and speaker fee, but like, crazy requests coming out. But I think it's just because like, I'm just everywhere, right? Like they're seeing my ads, they see me on Instagram. So yeah.
Yeah. And so many people are they're in so many places, but then at the same time, there are certain people that are in, they're very specific places and they are not venturing out. So I think I think a lot of people are trying to figure out, how do I be omnipresent? How do I be on every platform? Because I think they feel like, and I feel like this, I just can't be on every platform. Like I'm not really on LinkedIn because I just never got a handle on it. And it's like, I'm just trying to manage all of the other things. So I never really took to it. So, is that your solution to being appearing as if you're on these platforms is running ads on, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Clubhouse. I didn't even know you could run ads on Clubhouse, but maybe you'll talk about
No,
it.
I mean, you can't yet. I'm sure
okay.
that will come in the future, maybe like boosting a room or sponsoring, like just like getting extra eyeballs on your rooms. But for the most part, I focus on 3 areas. So that's Instagram, Clubhouse, and email. And then I feel like ads just kind of like, that's the same as Instagram. But yeah, I focus on like 3 platforms. I'm really just like leveraging like TikTok. If I do make a video, I just use it because I want to, I know how to edit on TikTok, if that makes sense. So like, I'll just repurpose the video and put it on Instagram Reels, but like, I'm really not, and I don't go viral over there.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So let's get into Clubhouse. You mentioned, so I guess, did you just want to explain what Clubhouse is for people that like really have never heard? I basically know it's a voice app and there's rooms and you can chat, but then there's hosts and only the hosts can talk and people are listening, and people have said it feels like I'm just listening in on someone else's conversation. So is what I'm hearing about it true? And or what's your, kind of your explanation of what it's all about?
Yeah. So it's 1 year old, but like, that's crazy that it's been a year. They actually launched last March during the pandemic. So I feel like it just was that opportunity for those of us who have like Zoom fatigue and are, we're in this like social distancing world. And it was that extra opportunity to just connect with people on a different level. In regards to like being it's still a social media platform, right? It's still like, so you're networking, et cetera. You're listening in on like content, so to speak. But yeah, it's audio based only. You have to have an invite in order to get on the app. So it's still very exclusive. It's still in beta, right? They haven't even launched the Android yet. So you have to have an iPhone, like the newest iPhone or a newer iPhone to get access to it. So it's very exclusive. And I think they did that on purpose, right? If you think back to like Pinterest, you had to have an invite to actually get on Pinterest in the early days. Even with Facebook, I remember when they launched in 2008, or when I got on it in 2008, I had to have an EDU email address to even get invited. So this is very normal. This is nothing out of the box. And I think, people, the Android people are like, just like going crazy over like, oh my gosh, they're like not including us. But this is so normal. And I feel like there's so many bugs right now and glitches, and like the app crashes sometimes, like when Mark Zuckerberg came on or Elon Musk, it's like, oh, the servers are down. No one can get in a room, and they actually cap rooms at 5,000. So if someone really popular like that comes on the app, it's like, oh, there's no way you're getting in the room. But yeah, I like to think of it as similar to like a podcast, but I like to think of it as a virtual conference breakout room, right? It's like these rooms are very specific, very niche to a specific topic. If you're scrolling the feed, which they call the hallway, your topic, your room has to be like very, it has to be like captivating or like hook them in, right? So I like to think of it as like an email subject headline, because if your room doesn't have a topic, or like it's not named anything, or it's just crappy, right? You just like threw something out there and you're like, all right, I'm going to start a room. It wasn't like well thought or strategic. People are probably going to scroll past, right? Just kind of like an Instagram cap or like a post. And you have that very first headline or hook in order to get them to, keep reading. It's kind of like the same thing on Clubhouse. You need to have some sort of hook, captivating room title, so you can get them to tap in and start listening in. But yeah, like you were saying, there's moderators in the room at the very top. They have basically the capabilities of letting people from the audience raise their hand and speak. Or there's, the opportunity for you to just be a listener, right? And that's kind of what I did in the first couple of weeks. I just listened in on conversations, let me figure this app out. I raised my hand a couple times to speak. And I got followers just from doing that. Like I got 10 followers. I remember just from asking a question. People are like looking at your profile, because you're able to tap on your picture, or, anyone's picture really, if you're moderating or just in the audience, and you can just read up on their bio, and you can actually like go to different apps while you're listening in. So it's kind of this new thing, that you can actually listen in or be speaking and not be camera ready, which I love.
Mhm. Yeah, it makes sense. Like if you raise your hand and you start talking, and then that would be a good way to gain followers because then they're hearing what you have to say. And if they like it and it feels aligned or they're interested, then they're like, I'm gonna follow her. And so then when you're following someone, are you getting notifications then when so then you can open a room, right? You can open a
Mhm.
room and like
Yeah.
have your topic of discussion. And so then are your followers notified when you open a room? These are such basic questions, you guys, but like literally I've been inside the app one time.
Yes. Yeah. So there is a benefit to following the right people and being strategic about who you follow and which clubs you follow, because then you're just gonna get like inundated with like notifications. So just make sure you don't like just follow for follow, you know what I mean? Or just follow all the clubs. Just be very strategic in the means of like what you're doing on the app is going to directly benefit, you know, that results, or if you are looking for results.
Yes.
But yeah, so people that you do follow, you'll get notifications if they one schedule a room, start a room, or if they ping you into the room, which is basically a notification that you can send to people who are online currently to whatever room you're listening into. You can like basically say like, hey, this room is pretty awesome, like you should join.
Nice. So the key is to be intentional and purposeful for why you're on the app. So, you're on the app for business over social would be my
Yes,
guess, correct? Right.
for
And
me,
that's
yeah.
the reason that I would be on for business related things, not just social, but for networking, but for my business purposes. So I
Mhm.
like that type of like be super intentional and purposeful for who you decide to follow and what kind of rooms. So are you just searching, like entrepreneur or online marketing, like just searching those kinds of things, and then rooms or people that talk about that stuff will come up? Like, what's the best way to find what you're interested in?
Yeah, so that kind of is like the first, it kind of gives me into like the newbie checklist. So like the first thing that you should do when you get on the app is one, fill out your bio, right? Like put a little picture up, like something that's very clear, that's not blurry, that's bright, something that's gonna basically like set you apart from anybody else. Obviously, it doesn't matter if you have like a different background. Some people have like colorful backgrounds behind their picture. As long as it's clear and you can see your face and you're smiling, perfect. Set up your handle. I actually like to use the same handle as Instagram because a lot of people, believe it or not, are coming from Instagram to Clubhouse because they see that I'm either one sharing the rooms that I'm hosting, or people are tagging me, et cetera, or people coming from there to Clubhouse. It's just like a good connector to have the same name. Although I've seen some people that have like at hair, like say like you specialize in like teaching hairstylists how to grow their business. Like I've seen some people do that because what actually happens, there's certain like terms, and like basically stuff in your bio that is searchable, like almost like SEO on the app. So people who are like early adopters, like they pretty much like took those handles right away.
Mhm.
I didn't want to be like Facebook ads because that's not all what I do, right? Like I do many things. Facebook ads is like, yes, it's like the top thing that I provide services for my clients, but like I also love funnels and I like to talk about Clubhouse and I also like to talk about content. So I didn't want to just like hone in on one specific topic. So I just stuck with my handle. So profile picture, set up your handle, your name. I just use Melissa. So like that's the name that appears when I'm hosting rooms. And then fill out your bio. And like I was saying, there's certain key words and terms that are searchable. When people are searching for people and handles within the app, and you'll pretty much like, there's like a ranking system. And then connecting Facebook and Instagram. No, sorry. Twitter and Instagram, sorry. Twitter and Instagram are the only things that you can link directly from the app. And that's the only way to connect with somebody, off of the app in order to like privately message them. So those are like my top tips. And then once you get those things set up, you can set up your interests. So you can go to like on your profile, the top right, there's like this gear icon, like a settings. Go to settings. You can set up your notifications, right? Set some boundaries ahead of time because it is addicting, right? So you can like turn off certain like trending rooms, set your notifications to be like infrequent or however, often you want to get notified. And then you can also set up your interest from there. So maybe you're interested in marketing, entrepreneurship, dating. Like there's so many different topics, like religion, sports, entertainment, like there's so many different topics that you can pick. And that's basically you telling the algorithm what type of rooms that you want to see on your hallway feed.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. I do remember they asked me a bunch of things and I basically just picked all business related. Like, don't show me anything that's not business related because that's why I will be here. So I do remember that aspect of it. So once you're on, you're set up, you're ready to, host a chat in the room. You guys, I promise I'll get the lingo at some point. You're going to host a chat in your room.
You're going to host a room on the app.
You're going to host a room.
In a club, kind of depends. A lot of people just host like open rooms where anybody can join and it's open to the public. But I think there's power in hosting rooms within clubs because clubs think of it like Facebook groups like 7 or 8 years ago. How awesome and amazing would it be to be able to like host a live, so to speak, right? Like in a large group, because there is some larger groups on the app that have been there since maybe like October, November, December, and they just have blown up. So in particular, just as an example, there's a women in business group. They have over 100,000 members, essentially. I think maybe it's at 300,000. I can't remember. But I like to think of like hosting a room inside of a club is kind of like going live in a Facebook group. You have that opportunity to connect with a very niche group of people. In this case, it's like women in business, right? So if your ideal client is women in business, entrepreneurs, women who have a business, that is your opportunity to, host a room and connect with those inside of that club versus like, let's just go live or go, have our rooms be public on the hallway feed. And let's just hope people tap in, right? So this is your opportunity to like be very specific, be very niched, and whoever's online within that group at the very, at that time will get notified of your room. So,
all right. So you guys, let's rewind and listen. That was a very strategic tip for Clubhouse is to find a club, as they call it, right? So it's a club compared similar to a Facebook group on a particular topic, something of your interest where your ideal clients would be, and then host a room, which is essentially like a one-time chat, right?
Yep. Yeah. So that's the thing too, that it's like in real time, nothing's recorded. There are like certain tips and hacks that we can talk about if you want to talk about like content repurposing or just like doing some market research, transcribing your room. But like it is against their terms of service to like record the room. So just take note of that. But I think that's what creates like this FOMO, right? I'm hosting this room at 2:00 today. Like it's not recorded. So you better be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that gives people the urgency, like I have to show up live. So you will get people that actually can't show up live. So probably being able to do various days and various times is helpful. Maybe even, around the same topic, different day, different time for those that couldn't attend. Would that be helpful?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's like another point too, is that because I do have my own club, it's called the Female Marketers Club. And sometimes I get like random messages where people host like one room and they're like, I didn't see any traction, like not that many showed up. Where in reality, right? It's like if you went live and 3 people showed up, like that's still 3 people that you're talking to, right? So it's still like a very similar concept. Like think of those 3 people like literally standing in front of you. Would you like just up and leave and like stop talking to them because there's not enough people? So my tip here is like be consistent. Like start thinking about maybe having a reoccurring room every week in that particular club where you're just talking about the same topic, right? People will catch on and they'll take notice, like, oh, and especially if you talk about it on your room, like, hey, this is a reoccurring room. We host this every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern, whatever the time is. I actually like to do, very specific like hard stops because I do have a very busy schedule. So it's like, I like to just tell them that in the very beginning, hey, this is about to be an hour. I do have a client call. You don't have to dedicate your whole life to the app. And I think some people don't realize that. It's like, you can end the room. You can end the conversation. Tell them to go to like follow you on Instagram and, like connect there. Like that's your opportunity to connect with everybody, especially have like a hard stop. So.
I think it's kind of fascinating that someone can start a club But then anyone can host a room. So basically like a conversation in your club. Is there
Are some, yeah. So basically, as a club creator, you can create your own rules within your club. So there are some clubs, totally, like you are getting to the next point. Like there are some clubs that don't allow their members to host rooms. So it kind of depends, but for the most part, from what I found, some of the larger clubs just allow that to happen. Like they allow their members to host rooms. I do think there's a huge opportunity for the app developers to like let us as club owners and creators, like how do we control what's happening within our club? We really can't. We can't be there the whole 24/7 on the app monitoring all the rooms that are happening within. So hopefully they make that a little more transparent, and I know they're working on it. So yeah.
Yeah, because that could be like it's your club. So then someone who's having a room, it's almost like others might think they're associated with you, and then they're talking about something that like is so not aligned with you, or like your thoughts or beliefs maybe. And so you really can't control that at this point, is what you're saying.
Yeah, we can't unless someone reports them. Like you can still report people within rooms if they're spamming or if they're, speaking hate, that kind of stuff. Like obviously that Clubhouse is big on that. So like if you're trolling, spamming, speaking negatively about somebody or, a specific race, like they're anti like hatred and anti trolls. So they make it really easy to report somebody that was like just speaking in a, recent room. So but yeah, hopefully like everything, I know it's going to improve, right? This is why they're in beta still. They're still improving. They're still working on all the things. But yeah, it's against their community guidelines to basically troll, do those follow for follow rooms. They really don't want people like spamming people on the app. So
yeah, they want it to be valuable content where people can come to get information and have conversations and, on whatever it is. And it sounds like there's a lot of other things outside of business on there that people are using Clubhouse to. So this is just kind of one little niche area inside the platform.
Yeah, there's been like live concerts and live plays, like especially when we were like in the middle of like social distancing. I think that's why so many people were drawn to the app. I'm pretty sure Shawn Mendes was the one that was like live recording like an album or something, or as a song. So yeah, there's been like quite a few celebrities that have like been popping on the app. So I think that's what's creating like more and more buzz as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when you said it's been around for a year, I was actually surprised. Not that I like know everything as soon as it comes out. I don't. But it wasn't that long ago that literally every group I was in, all of a sudden overnight was like Clubhouse, 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 Clubhouse. It was like, oh, this new app that came out. But that was probably not even a whole handful of months ago, And so you're saying it's been around for a year. So that must just be all of a sudden it's really just gotten a lot of traction, or maybe just within this community, the entrepreneurial community, because those are the kinds of groups that I'm in on social media, where it finally just got traction for
yeah. I would say that's probably like the biggest topic or interest group right now that's on the app outside of like venture capitalism but yeah, I think like the marketing community and entrepreneur community has just like taken over.
Yeah, well, and the whole thing that like conferences are not happening right now. And that's so much of how, we have connected. I mean, we were at the same live event. Now, well, we didn't necessarily, meet face to face and have a conversation, but I met so many people there. Or from that conference, we connected on social media after because we were using the hashtag or, whatever that is. And so even now, without being able to go to conferences, people are looking for more ways to network outside of just like Facebook, Instagram, whatever. So this is kind of like the new hot thing. What are your predictions of how long it will be around? Because like Periscope was a thing. Does it even exist anymore?
I know. It does. Yeah. Well, I think it's so different because it doesn't leverage video, right? And you had all these platforms, they're all leveraging video, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. It's all video based. But I think that's why this is so huge. It's like, it's audio. It's like a new type of influencer too. Like you cannot fake what you know. You literally have to come to the table with like your knowledge. And if you don't know what you're talking about, like it's going to be so obvious. And you can't like fake like the feed, right? Like just post all these like pictures that are curated,
Copy
perfect.
and paste someone else's message.
Yeah,
Your
picture
feed.
perfect type of feed. It's like it's just changes everything. And I mean, it's all about like being authentic and sharing what you know, and fostering community. So I think that's why so many people love it. And that's why I fell in love with it too.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, you don't have to like show up on stories looking perfect or have to use a filter. Like I could literally like finish a workout and be like, oh my God, I gotta like start a room right now. Like my room is starting in 5 minutes. You don't need to take a shower. No one's gonna see that.
Yeah, that's perfect for me because I only shower like twice a week, you guys. If you've been following me for a while, you know this about me. And I'm like, we'll just put on a little makeup and we'll just, remedy this real quick.
Make it work. Yeah.
So yeah, even if my little thought and nugget to add to that is even if it's not something that's going to stick around, we can 100% leverage it. Just like people leverage something like Periscope. It's, whether it's still around, it's not that popular anymore. I don't think. I'm not on it anymore. And I certainly was in the beginning, but you can leverage, and maybe we can get into this more. You talked a little bit about it, redirecting people who are now following you, who are in your rooms. You're redirecting them, you're sending them, and this should be happening on any social platform, that you're redirecting them to the place you want them to go, and you can probably add more to this, but like your website, getting them on your email list. It was funny because I said, as we were chatting before, going over the free gift, because I always let my guests offer free gift. And I said, do you want an opt-in? She's like, no, it's a blog post. Like, it's fine. I'm totally giving your secrets away. Like, we'll just send them to the blog post because of redirect. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, the magical redirect. So what are
retargeting?
The retargeting. Thank you. The retargeting.
Yeah.
So you got to use proper lingo here.
Retargeting with an ad. Yeah. So
Correct.
You can make a custom audience out of a specific URL on your website, funnel page, etc. Yeah. And retarget them. Yeah.
Right. So like you don't even have to have their email address. They could just go to the blog, review the content, and you can retarget, which is amazing for your business. So where are the places that you recommend? You're in Clubhouse, you're leveraging it for now. It's hot. Like, let's take advantage of it. Where should we be redirecting people to make sure that if the platform ever flops or really shuts down or no one's using it anymore, we can still have them as a captive audience where we own that, right?
Right. Yeah. And a good example was like the other day, Instagram was down for like, I don't know, an hour and a half and people were freaking out. There was like multiple rooms on Clubhouse titled like WTF, what's happening with Instagram? And I was like, wow, this is a great example of like, it's so important to have an email list. Like you cannot rely on social media platforms to always be working or always be up. And, like if you're relying on sales to happen in the DMs, especially on Instagram, because it's gone down before. This is why it's so important to have an email list. So I like to think of Clubhouse as like top of funnel, right? Lead gen, we're putting as many people as we can top of funnel. We're building leads for our business. That's the purpose of hosting rooms and providing value. Key there. And then at the end of the room, it's important, just like an Instagram caption, you need to have a call to action, right? Like, what do you want them to do next? Do you want them to email you? Do you want them to DM you? Do you want them to go to your website? Like, it's very important. And the easiest thing is sending them to Instagram because it's literally linked in your profile. So you can be like, just send me a DM on Instagram. They know where to go, especially if they're already on the app. And basically the DMs is kind of like middle of funnel, right? So like middle of funnel is like, all right, you're starting that conversation, you're thanking them for being in your room, and starting to like literally build that relationship with that person. Sometimes it happens like literally after your room, they're like, hey, I want to work with you. You provided that much value and they saw value in what you said. They want to work with you. And some people need a little bit more like, nurturing, so to speak. So that's your opportunity to be like, here's a free training, here's a free resource, simply like click the link or enter in your email and it'll be sent to you. So that's your opportunity to like take it to the next level. Let's get them in your email, like your sales funnel. Let's start building that relationship there as well. And with my clients, what we do is we retarget the Instagram DM audience because we can do that with an ads manager. So that is just like an extra tip.
Oh, so the people that are coming into your DMs, you can retarget those people as well.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Gosh, you guys. My ads manager is probably doing this stuff and I don't even know.
It is a great audience to retarget because, like, if you think about it, those are your warmest leads, right? I always tell everybody this, like, the link in your bio, hottest leads, right? They're clicking. So like if you're using something like Linktree and it's not pixeled, like please put something like on your website. I have something just created within Squarespace and it's made to look like Linktree, right? Because I want to make sure that's pixeled and I can retarget them later within an ads via like making a custom audience out of that link. So yeah, you can totally leverage, there's certain custom audiences that you can make, especially if you're on Facebook and Instagram. You can create certain audiences based on like video views, so like if you are doing reels, IGTVs, all that sort of stuff, you can retarget those people as well as people in your DMs. And yeah, there's so many other audiences too, but that's like the most important one because especially if you're using Clubhouse for lead gen, that's the next step that you want to get them in your DMs so you can start nurturing them. But also, it's like, oh, let's retarget them with an ad.
Okay, perfect. So hosting rooms within clubs so that you can get to your ideal clients, more of your niche audience is a good strategy. On maybe hosting regular rooms so people get accustomed to like knowing, you're going to show up. Do you ask them to follow you in your rooms or is that like not a thing?
It's up to you. I do. I am just like, hey, if you found any value of what I was talking about today, like please give me a follow. Would love to connect with you, in the DMs on Instagram. That sort of thing.
And then your call to action 100% at the end of whatever you're talking about. Are you always having a conversation with someone or are you sometimes just like there chatting yourself solo?
I personally don't like to host those type of rooms where it's like the audience has no opportunity to raise their hand because there is that option to like turn off hand raising. I like everybody to have like a spot at the table, right? Like, and sometimes the best rooms are Q&A that's led by the audience, right? So I've held like rooms by myself where I just let people from the audience come up on stage and ask questions. And that carries the whole conversation for like an hour. It's crazy, but they get so much value out of like getting their questions answered. And it's like, I don't even have to ask for the follow. They just follow.
Okay. And so what I was getting at was it doesn't have to be like me and you talking right now. You don't have to try and like find someone to start the conversation with. You could just host a room about a topic and be like, look, this is my specialty. And I'm going to host a room about it and you can just come ask me any questions and that could just start the room.
Yeah, I will say that there is power in numbers, right? So like the more people you collaborate with and co-moderate with, the better, because think about it this way too, like everyone that you're following and everyone that they're following will get notified as like together that you're hosting a room. So it's like the more people, the better. But I do think it gets overcrowded when there's like over 5 moderators. Like sometimes the stage is filled with moderators and it's just not ideal. And then they're all just conversing together. And it's like, like there's an opportunity for me to speak. It's like you're just listening on this conversation. I like to like involve the audience. I think it's like more, it's more special that way.
Okay. Good tips. Good tips. I'm loving these tips. I'm definitely taking notes in my head for when I go in and do my first room. I was supposed to join someone in a room the other week and it got canceled, but I was so nervous. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. What if I do the wrong thing? What if I hit the wrong button? I opened the app, went into some random room. I saw what room she was following. So I went into one and I was like scared to like touch someone's, little circle. Cause I was like, I don't know what that's going to do. Right. Like, is it going to say I'm raising my hand? Like, whatever. So I got over that fear and I pushed a few buttons and kind of figured some things out, but I'm kind of excited to dive into Clubhouse a little bit more. Is there anything else I want to get to you just sharing the freebie and or the
blog post?
Yes, the blog post. I'm still gonna
The blog has a ton of information.
Free gifts.
Yeah, the blog post has a ton of information. It's doing so well on Pinterest just because like I poured everything into it. It's like, here's the app, like here's the lingo. I answer frequently answered questions. I have a checklist for like newbies on there. So it literally covers so much. So that's why I feel like it is a freebie.
So this freebie, this checklist would have prepared me a lot more for this conversation is what I'm taking away. But I did just, and I am excited about this, I did just purchase your Clubhouse for CEOs, you guys, which is super reasonably priced. So I'm going to highly recommend that, even though I haven't dove into it yet, because I'm really excited. I saw the topics that are in there and I'm excited about it. And just our conversation together, you clearly know what you're talking about. You know, even though the app hasn't been around too long, that doesn't matter. If you're spending time in there and you kind of learn these tips and tricks, then I don't have to try and figure this all out on my own. I can just learn from, you know, the last 6 months or however long you've been on it, right? With all the little secrets.
It will save you months and months of like being on the app for hours.
Yeah, we don't have time for that. So, you know, we got to know what we're supposed to do, when we're supposed to do it, how we're supposed to do it, so we can get in, do our thing, leverage it to grow our business, you know, grow our audience, serve more, add more value. Cool. Yeah. So I'm excited about that.
I feel like I take like a different approach. Like I am all about like, let's automate, let's get them into the funnel. Like this is just for lead gen, but like, let's take it a step further. Let's get them into our sales funnel, right? Because we don't own these social media platforms. Like, yes, it's great for our business. It's great to leverage and build those connections, but then what? Right? It's like, well, then what happens after that?
Yeah, 100%. If you guys are out there listening right now and you want more on automation, how to work more efficiently in your business, that's what we've been talking about here on the podcast. But if you want even more, shoot me a DM. Tell me what you want to learn about, because I will bring amazing people like Melissa back. We can talk more about funnels, more about automation, because that really is it is a major key to working less and enjoying more. And less doesn't always mean less hours. Maybe you love working 40 hours in your business, but let's do less of the things that you hate doing, or less of the things that don't really bring in more revenue. And let's get you focused on your zone of genius that's going to really grow the business, and let the automations and the tools and the tips and the tricks and the, you know, paid advertising and paid traffic, all of that do the work for you. Right. So shoot me a message, so we can, you know, give you more of what you want here on the podcast. The links are going to be in the show notes. For your blog post is how to use Clubhouse. So do you want to share with them? Do you have the link memorized in your head? You can spit it out there for them. And then you guys, if you're driving or whatever, go to the show notes and you can easily click on it.
Yeah, it's litchfieldmedia.org/blog/Clubhouse.
All right, perfect. So that's where you're going to get some really amazing free content. And then I'll be like, I'll call it out that maybe it's going to lead them to that amazing thing that I just purchased, but we can still put the link to Clubhouse for CEOs.
Yes. It's
in here.
It is in the blog post. It's just very, you know, it's like a small little button, but there's so much content on there. So you'll learn a lot. And yeah, the Clubhouse for CEOs is my mini course. It's $37. It will cover everything you need to know and more. I cover strategy, like conversion strategy, and my 4-step process for moderating like a boss, because there is a method to the madness. And that is at clubhouseforceos.com/enroll. So you'll have the links too.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, this has been amazing. It's been enlightening talking to you about Clubhouse. I've learned more, and now I will say I'm more excited to go dive into the app and really explore it. But I'm definitely going to do your Clubhouse for CEOs first before I just go waste energy and space in there. So this has been awesome. Any last thoughts that you want to leave the audience with?
I will say, there's power in just starting, right? I know some people are like afraid or scared that like no one's going to enter the room or they're going to have like minimal people. But again, just like I was saying earlier, it doesn't matter how many people you have in the room as long as you have their attention. Imagine like that one person is literally standing in front of you. Would you just like stop talking and end the room? Probably not. We'd have a conversation with them, like bring them up on stage, have a conversation, answer their questions, and then utilize all the steps that I cover in Clubhouse Like a Boss or Clubhouse for CEOs, because there is more to it than just hosting a room. So,
okay, perfect. She's going to give you the inside scoop in there. And yeah, I love that whole like, and I'm a done is better than perfect kind of girl. You have to take action to get somewhere that you want to go. So you're not going to know if Clubhouse is for you unless you dip your toes in and check it out and feel it out. So just give it a go. Maybe it's for you, maybe it's not, but there's only one way to find out, right?
100%. Yes.
Totally. Cool. Where can everyone find you to connect with you more?
Yeah. Well, Clubhouse, I'm Litchfield Media there. That's my handle. And also on Instagram, Litchfield Media.
Okay. Perfect. Awesome. This has been great. Thanks for spending the time with us. I appreciate you so much. And I think maybe we'll be having you back if you'll have us.
Yeah. Let's talk about SLO funnels ads.
Love it. Love it. Okay. All right. We'll see you later.
Okay. Bye.
Until next time, remember, done is better than perfect, my friend, and to channel your inner badass and take imperfect action every single day.